Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of the Human Condition Podcast. I'm your host, American Council on Exercise Certified Personal Trainer, Kiri Jones. As of the recording of this podcast, I have about 5 streams on Amazon Music and not a whole lot of traction, but that's okay because of those 5 streams or 2 views or 1 comment or share on social media or YouTube, that means that somebody is looking and somebody's might be finding it beneficial to listen to my voice or watch my video. Because if you're just listening to this in audio, this is also a video podcast, and I'm making them available on YouTube as well. But anyway, I want to start by talking about the blogs, and I know that I said I was going to cover them in these podcasts, but I just want people to be aware that these blogs are already written and scheduled as of this moment out until the end of June. I try to put a lot of work in on the front end, so if you ask me to write about something and you don't see it, that's probably why. But these blogs that are coming up are covering things like calories, posture, fat and fat loss, tips and cautions, and some science-based topics like oxidative stress and mitochondria. I've kind of fallen down a rabbit hole recently on researching stuff because even though I said in it was either the last podcast or the one before that I'm not a huge science nerd, I don't know why I said that. I am. I love to research literally every aspect of life, but very specifically like the body and how it works, because I like to think of the body as like a fleshy, high-tech machine. So the more information that I can get, or the more studies I can follow, or the books that I can read and information that I can put out, the better. So the most recent blog was a blog titled Dreading the Scale, Why You Shouldn't Obsess Over the Numbers. And I wrote this because I've seen this habit-forming thing occur where people who are on a weight loss journey or a health and fitness journey will step on the scale every single day. And I'm going to tell you that that's not a good idea for several reasons, but one being that, like, you're not going to get a good picture of what's actually occurring unless you spread it out. It's kind of like when you have a friend that you don't see for a while and they lose a bunch of weight, and so you see them suddenly and you're like, wow, you lost so much weight. They saw themselves every single day, so the process was very gradual to them, but for you it was sudden. So think about that in terms of like standing on the scale. Like, you want it to be a point in time type of sudden realization of a trend, because there are factors that go into like how much you weigh, and these can include things like your stress level, if you've changed your diet recently, how hydrated are you, what clothes are you wearing, is it the same clothes that you wore last time, even the time of day that you weigh yourself can have an impact on the total weight. And it's absolutely normal and natural for your body to shift up and down in a few pounds in either direction on a day-to-day basis. That's just normal. So if you're standing on the scale wondering why you gained a pound overnight, like, that's such a small thing that it's going to negatively impact how you're mentally feeling about your health and fitness journey, when really it's only such a minor part of the whole picture. Like, your weight is just a portion of the whole puzzle. Because you got to think, like, you can weigh exactly the same amount of weight from a beginning and an end point and look totally different. And if you don't believe me, just go and look it up on the internet. There are plenty of pictures that exist showing different body types all at the exact same weight. So you should try to do it like maybe bi-weekly or monthly so that you can get a better idea of your overall trending weight. So, if you're 6 or 7 pounds heavier at the end of a month, that's an indicator that maybe something needs to change. Unless you're trying to gain weight, in which case that's a positive indicator. If you're 3 or 4 pounds down at the end of the month, that means that maybe something that you're doing is correct. Now, there is also a healthy amount of weight to lose or gain within a month period. And typically it's like 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a week that you can lose. So if you're losing weight faster than that, that could be indicative of a problem. Now, it's not unheard of to lose 2 or 3 pounds in a week. But if that is the constant trend, that could be an issue. And that might be something that you need to address either with your lifestyle choices or with your doctor. But the reason that I bring this up is because I want people to be mindful of the fact that this can become an obsessive behavior. And obsessive behaviors are counterintuitive to a health and fitness journey. So you focusing solely on the number that the scale says on a day-to-day basis goes against getting healthier, because I'm talking holistically. And this includes mental health too. So if you yourself do this, or if you know somebody who does this, where you stand on the scale every day and you have a comment about the weight at that point in time every single day, maybe it's time that you either address this with yourself or with somebody that you care about, because it's over obsessive and it's detrimental to your mental health. If you're struggling by yourself and if you don't have a good support system, seek out resources and organizations that exist online that help with disordered behaviors. There are plenty. I looked it up and I was thinking about this, and I'm probably going to do it, adding a section on the website for pointing people in the right direction to resources that will help them either with, eating disorders, body dysmorphia, obsessive or disordered behaviors, poor relationships with food. There's a lot of free resources out there, and maybe people don't know that, or maybe people just need somebody to tell them that what they're doing is unhealthy. But hopefully listing out the resources will be helpful. But all of this is to say, don't weigh yourself every day. It's not going to give you the right picture. Monthly. Let me scroll down through my notes here. So the next thing that I want to bring up, and this is something that I've been rabbit holing on recently, and that's the term biohacking. Now, the first time that I had ever heard this term was from a team sergeant I had in the military, and he did all sorts of things. I can't even begin to describe to you the amount of things that I thought were just absolutely ridiculous that he did. And the whole thing just seemed so gimmicky, brainwashed, there's no way this is going to work, blah, blah, blah. But now that I'm older, because this was a few years ago in my probably mid-20s, now that I'm older, I'm realizing that there might be something to it. Biohacking is described as do-it-yourself biology. You're making changes to your diet or your supplementation, your behaviors, you're using technology, anything that you can do to enhance your own biology or physiological health think like, I'm sure you've heard the word like nootropics or cold exposure therapy, intermittent fasting, red light therapy, or wearable technology like, I don't know if you've seen the Oura rings. I'm curious about those. I'm curious about the rings in general. I know a few different companies make them, but anyway, all of these things can be classified as biohacking. There are some claimed advantages to engaging in these behaviors, like better sleep, improved mental clarity, lowered body inflammation, and reversing some metabolic conditions like obesity or type 2 diabetes. I'm currently trying a few things, and this is after extensive research because, like I said, I'm still battling with that part of my brain that thinks it's kind of gimmicky. So I'm looking at research papers. I'm looking at forums where people are posting their real experiences trying this or that. And that goes with my basic understanding of biology and physiology from, my research, my certification, personal trainer, functional fitness, fitness nutrition specialist certifications. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying some type of breath work, like therapeutic hyperventilation. And one of the methods that's used for this type of breath work is called the Wim Hof method. And I'll admit I'm not doing it daily. You should be doing it daily because how else are you going to figure out if it works for you if you don't? I'm sure eventually I'll get to a point where I can set aside time to do this daily and then maybe write a blog about it. But the other thing I'm trying is cold exposure therapy, and I don't have one of those ice tubs. So I'm really limited right now to just like trying to take cold showers, and I'm such a baby. Like I brought a thermometer into the shower with me, and I got down to probably 70 degrees, and I thought it was freezing until I put the thermometer underneath it, and I was a little upset with myself. But I'm slowly trying to work my way down to 60 degrees and below, and I think maybe eventually I'm going to buy a cold plunge thing. I don't know what they're called, a tub. But I had started to think about doing the cold exposure therapy last year, and in the interest of full exposure, it was recommended to me by my therapist. And I didn't do it because, why would I? But so after he had recommended it to me, it came up on a podcast that I was listening to, and it was the Huberman Lab podcast, and he had a guest on named Dr. Susanna Soberg, and she's a Danish scientist who's researching cold water swimming exposure. Like, so you're actually going out and immersing yourself in water and kind of trying to swim a little bit. And I heard this, and I heard her research, and I thought it was so fascinating because if it is true, which I'm assuming it is because this was her PhD research, there's so many people that could benefit from it, but I'm not going to recommend it without doing it myself first. And realistically, there are contraindications as to why there are some people that can't do it, and I don't know enough about it yet to know those contraindications, so I'm not going to tell you to go jump in a lake in the middle of winter. But it's intriguing to me that it exists, that the research exists, because People have been doing cold water swimming for centuries. So those are the top two things that I'm looking into for biohacking. And then there's a third thing that kind of just popped up recently, and that's hydrogen therapy. This is adding extra hydrogen into the body, which, based on my very minimal understanding, can help with a lot of different things that occur. I think I had heard that there are some scientists or researchers who believe that hydrogen therapy might be the key to a lot of different diseases and conditions. But the accessibility of it is a little muddy for me, because I bought like a cheap hydrogen water bottle off of Amazon. And if you're watching the video podcast, I'll show you. It's this guy. It was really inexpensive, and it kind of seems like it's working. When you turn it on, you can see the hydrogen bubbles going up, and you have to be really careful. And I'm not telling you to buy a water bottle, but if you do, like, make sure that it has, I think it's called PEM technology in it. Otherwise, you're going to be drinking chlorine and ozone. But I've been drinking hydrogen water twice a day for probably a week, and I can't say that I've experienced a whole lot of benefits. At least not that I'm like very consciously aware of. And the possibility exists that this specific water bottle is gimmicky. There are medical grade hydrogen therapies that exist. I don't know how expensive they are. I don't even know where you would go to do these things. But there's different ways to consume extra molecular hydrogen, and that's like, there's tablets you can put in your water, there's these water bottles, there's water systems, there's some people breathe it in. But I'm going to keep digging into that, because again, if the benefits it's touting are true, like, people need to know. And I guess if I'm talking about the benefits that I'm trying to glean from my biohacking, I'll back up a little bit and talk about the fact that although I am not at a point where I am immersing myself in cold water and not seeing the benefits of being in freezing cold water with the cold shock response, I have found myself, although it sucks to be in a cold shower, actually craving that suck. Like, I'm already imagining how far I'm going to push it tomorrow, and the feeling of just being cold. But again, this is not me recommending that people try this stuff. I don't know you personally. I don't know what type of pre-existing conditions you have or what kind of shape you're in. So I'm just going to tell you what my experiences are and provide maybe some written material on it for you to do your own research and maybe talk to your doctor about it before attempting any of this. I haven't been doing this stuff long enough to claim any of the benefits, and I haven't researched enough to be like, this is a miracle. So if you're interested, research these topics yourself. And like I said, I'll continue to share what little surface level knowledge I have of it. If you have any super simple, accessible types of biohacking advice that you want me to talk about, because I'm more than interested in whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. If you have these things, leave it as a comment, email it to me, send it to me on social media, whatever. I will look into it and probably talk about it or bring it up. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want me to talk about something else other than biohacking, or if it's terms that you don't understand. Speaking of terms, if you've been on the social media, you might have seen something called Terminology Tuesday. And what I've done is put together a list of terms, of acronyms, slang, anything that I could think of that is involved in like the health and fitness world. And I'm going to start posting a couple of them, I think every other Tuesday, just because you never know who doesn't know what. But yeah, help me get these views and these streams up, because it will help other people in the world have access to the same information that you just heard me ramble about for however many minutes. But yeah, I think I've covered just about everything that I wanted to cover in this podcast. So until next time.